This is baseball's celebrated Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. The date is July 25th, 1966. General William Eckert, Commissioner of Baseball, is speaking.
There was never any doubt that Ted Williams would be elected to the Hall of Fame just as soon as he became eligible. He is the last major leaguer to hit 400. His 521 home runs place him fourth on the all-time list. There are many who insist that Ted Williams ranks with Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb as the greatest hitters who ever lived. It is no wonder that the Baseball Writers Association of America elected him to the Hall of Fame and one of the greatest landslide votes ever. Ted, if you will step up here.
Mr. Commissioner, baseball dignitaries and fans, I'm sure that every player thinks about someday going into the Hall of Fame. Now that the great moment has come for me, I find it difficult to say what is really in my heart. But I know that it's the greatest thrill of my life. I received 280-odd votes from the writers, and I know I didn't have 280-odd close friends among the writers. I know they voted for me because they felt in their minds and some in their hearts that I rated it. And I want to say to them, from the heart, thank you. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Inside this building are plaques dedicated to baseball men of all generations, and I'm privileged to join them. Baseball gives every American boy a chance to excel, not just to be as good as someone else, but to be better than someone else. Because ball players are not born great. They're not born hitters or pitchers or managers, and luck isn't the key factor. No one has come up for a substitute for hard work. I've never met a great baseball player who didn't have to work harder at learning to play baseball than anything else he ever did. To me, it was the greatest fun I ever had, which probably explains why today I feel both humility and pride, because God let me play the game and to learn to be good at it. Proud because I've spent most of my life in the company of so many wonderful people. Now, I know Casey Sting will feel the same way, and I'm awfully glad to be with him on his big day. I also know I'll lose a dear friend if I don't stop talking, as I know I'm eating into his time. And that is unforgivable. So in closing, I'm grateful, and I know how lucky I was to have been born in America and had a chance to play the game I love, the greatest game of them all, baseball.
Ted is still associated with the Boston Red Sox organization, helping to develop young hitters and scouting potential major leaguers. However, his main occupation year-round is to advise Sears Roebuck and Company in the development of all types of superior sports and recreational equipment for active Americans. He does this in his capacity as chairman of the Ted Williams Sports Advisory Staff. His members are national and international stars in their individual sports and recreational specialties. It is this advisory staff which sponsors the film you're about to see.
Fenway Park, home of the Boston Red Sox baseball team. And here's one of the most famous players that ever wore a Red Sox uniform, Ted Williams, whose career was twice interrupted for military service. Let's take a good look at this famous number 9 and see just what helped Ted to hit over 400 in a single season, to hold 6th place in total RBIs, be named American League batting champ 6 times, and to compile a .344 lifetime batting average. One thing for sure, whether fielding or hitting the home runs for which he is so famous, one of Ted's biggest assets is his fine competitive spirit. Whatever he does well. When he first started playing baseball, Ted went to work to find out and master the basic elements that go into the making of a good hitter. Here's Ted to give us those basics, starting at the beginning with the selection of a bat.
Something that's very important is the weight of the bat. Invariably, when a fellow picks up a bat and he says, boy, this feels good, it's because the weight is generally right for him. In other words, it isn't too heavy. I'm sure that it's better to have a bat that's light enough for you, one that you can handle, and one that's a little too heavy. No one's to say which is the best type for each individual. It's more or less of a feel. You pick up a bat and you balance it. You determine whether you like the feel of the handle, whether or not it feels good in your hands, and also the weight and the length, either 34 or 35 inches, even 36, that you feel is the type bat that you can handle and feels good in your hands. A lot of young fellows particularly like to know how to pick up a bat. I asked this same question of a great hitter about 25 years ago, and this is what he said, and this is what I think is right. He said to simply pick up the bat like you would an axe, and to form a simple V off the handle with your hands up to your shoulders, thusly. Now, as you go along, you'll find yourself moving your hands around to a comfortable position from there. This is pretty much of an individual feel.
Even in a practice swing, you'll notice that Ted follows through on the principle of picking up and holding the bat with the arms forming a V. And at the Red Sox training camp, Ted spends many hours explaining these same principles of how to hold the bat and to grip it firmly but not too tightly to the young players who are trying to find their place in the major leagues.
Now, certainly one of the most important things that we'd have to cover, talking about hitting, is the importance of the strike zone. Now, the strike zone is a pitch that covers the width of the plate, above the knees, and slightly under the armpits. Now, the more critical you are learning your strike zone, it's going to be far more easy for you to develop into a good hitter, because you'll be hitting more times ahead of the pitcher. In other words, you'll have him in the hole instead of you being in the hole. You start hitting at balls 2 or 3 inches outside, or 2 or 3 inches inside, or 2 or 3, 4 inches high. You're going to find that you're going to increase your strike zone for the pitcher to shoot at, and he'll find it a lot more difficult to be getting good balls to hit. We're going to talk now about probably the most single important phase of hitting, and that is being able to be quick with your hands and wrists. Hands and wrists, or the ability to be quick with your hands and wrists, is going to really determine just how good a hitter you're going to be. Because if you learn how to be fast with your hands and wrists, you're going to be able to wait longer for the pitch. And of course, by being able to wait longer for the pitch, you're going to be fooled less. Now, I'm often asked how to get quicker with your hands and wrists. And of course, to be able to swing a bat quick, you're going to have to be strong. These are just a couple of ways that you can help yourself getting stronger in your hands and wrists. Of course, by push-ups, squeezing balls, chin-ups, But I think the best exercise of all is to get a bat that probably weighs 8 or 10 ounces heavier than the bat that you use in a game and swing it. Just keep swinging it. Just keep swinging it. Simulate a pitch as you're looking towards the imaginary pitcher. Simulate a low outside pitch and be real quick with the swing. Keep swinging and keep practicing. I'll go through a whole swing describing how I think that a good swing should be made. We'll imagine a pitch being delivered. As you stride, your hands fall back slightly. Fall back slightly. As you anticipate that you're going to swing, your hips start moving. And as your hips start opening up, your hands follow through, following your hips. As you hit the ball, your wrists haven't broken yet. As you contact with the ball and as you're hitting the ball, your wrists start breaking. Not before, just as you hit it. And then the follow through. We'll go through that once more. We'll anticipate a pitch coming. As you stride, your hands fall back slightly. As you start to move into the pitch, your hips open up slightly, your hands following. As the bat comes through and you meet the ball, your wrists have not broken as yet. Just at impact and slightly after, your wrists start breaking, and then, of course, the follow-through.
Let's watch Ted's action in this slow-motion picture of him hitting the ball. His wrists break just after he contacts the ball to give it that extra punch that sends it well on its way.
Now, earlier we were talking about time, the time element. Something all important because the more time you give yourself to look at the pitch, why, the less you're going to be fooled. Now, if you take a lot of time to swing to get the bat from the position that you may hold it to where you're going to hit the ball, if you take more time to get that bat from that position to where you're going to hit the ball, why, you've got to start earlier. In other words, you can't wait.
The importance of being quick, not wasting a second, can best be illustrated by stopping the action of this picture. Even at 1/24th of a second, both the ball and the bat are just blurs. Any unnecessary movement gives you that much less time to judge whether the pitch is good or bad. Here's an example of unnecessary motion.
Now, a problem that a lot of hitters have is trying to eliminate a hitch. Now, first of all, what is a hitch? A hitch is simply dropping the hands as you're anticipating going in towards the pitch. I'll do that again. A hitch is dropping the hands and then coming up to go into the plane where you're going to hit the ball. Now, why is a hitch bad? Hitch is bad because it takes time to drop your hands. It takes time to come up. And the thing we're trying to do is be quick with our hands and wrists. So consequently, this takes enough time that you have to commit yourself sooner towards going into the pitch. Now, it's much better if you can keep your hands steady and still without too much dropping of the hands, but it's much better to come back this way than to come down this way, because this way you're going in the opposite plane in which you're going to stroke at the ball.
In actual hitting, a few practice swings are all right, not wasted motion. But once the pitcher is ready to deliver the pitch, the wise batter is poised and ready too, ready to swing at the good pitches.
Now, a question that's often asked by players is, how far should I stride? And of course, this is a very important phase of hitting. And I would have to cover it this way. And I'll let you see for yourself that if I have an extremely closed stance, I keep my feet together, and I make a long stride, which you can see here. You can see how much my head is moving and how long it takes. Now, look at this stride. Spread out slightly. Now you can see that the shorter stride is faster and my head moves less, also my eyes of course, which gives me a chance to look at the ball, see it a little bit better.
With the quicker short stride and the head moving less, Ted has a little more time to judge whether the ball is going to be over the plate, a strike. He gains the advantage of not swinging at bad balls.
And now we'll talk about another very important phase in hitting, balance. By that I mean that any time you're in the batter's box, in a relaxed position, in a ready position, in a striding position, in a swinging position, everything should be in balance. Now by that I mean that the weight should be towards the front of the foot, on the balls of the feet, never on the heels, because you can see that if you're on your heels, you lose all power. Consequently, and I'll repeat it once more, weight evenly distributed on both feet, in the ready position, in the striding position, in the swinging position. Balance. One of the very important questions that often comes up regarding where to stand in the box, whether to stand up here in front, closer to the pitcher, or in the extreme rear end of the box. Now, a lot of fellows would think that it would be better to stand in the back of the box because you'd have more time to look at the pitch. But there's one very distinct disadvantage by being in the extreme end of the box, because breaking stuff is breaking bigger back here. In other words, the ball starts to break, but it gets the full sweep of its break towards the plate here. Now, I'm just going to give an example. If a curve ball is coming this way, and it hits the outside and continues to curve out this way, and an inside pitch, a curve ball breaking into a left-hand hitter coming this way, you can see that the further away he gets from the plate, the bigger break that he has to take care of, it's still covering that plate. A position I like is somewhere even with the plate, so that you have a better look at the plate for one thing, and you're not getting the extreme end of the curveball break to where you have to cover more than actually the width of the plate. By being even with the plate, you only have to cover balls that are coming over that plate, right at the plate where you're going to hit them. I'm often asked to help fellows who are having problems with their batting, and to me, I've over the years have come down to this basic way of trying to get a young fellow or anybody out of troubles when they're hitting. I always like to start this way because it seems to me like most young hitters have a tendency to crowd the plate. And of course, that to me is the hardest way of all to hit. And here's the reason. As you can see, if I crowd the plate here, that I'm only 8 or 9 inches from the plate itself. And with my hands and arms in a batting position to hit, my hands and arms extend over to the inside corner of the plate. Now you can see that a ball coming over the plate, in order for me to hit it, I have to get my bat out well in front of the plate, which is my ordinary length of stroke or batting swing. So that if my hands are here and I have to hit this pitch because I'm so close to the plate, out in front of the plate, like this, I am hitting the ball roughly at 58.5 feet from the pitcher's mound, which means that I have that much time in feet to hit the ball squarely on the meat of the bat. Now I'll go through that just again. My hands are here and I'm close to the plate, and my regular length of stroke, which I have in order to hit the ball with authority, and I swing like that, I'm hitting the ball approximately 58 feet from the pitcher. Now, in order to become a good hitter, the quicker you can be, the more time you give yourself. Now, I'm going to show you a way to get more time so that you're going to be fool less by simply moving away from the plate. Now I'm going to move away from the plate approximately 10 inches, a foot away from the plate. With my hands in the same position, and with this position in the box, I don't have to worry about that inside pitch anymore because I'm not crowding the plate. Consequently, I'm going to hit the ball over the plate now again, but because I'm further away, I'm going to be hitting it at 60 feet from the pitcher because I'm going to be hitting the ball over the plate. Now I've lost one thing as you see the picture now, and that is I have lost length of stroke, or the same as power. Now in order to increase my length of stroke, to make sure that I get that power and still keep my position in the box like I want it here and be able to get the full 60 feet to look at the ball, all I have to do is to turn around a little bit. Now I have the same length of stroke, which is a full swing, and I'm hitting the ball 60 feet from the pitcher, but one very other important thing that I have gained. I'm going to be hitting the ball at right angles from the direction that the ball is being pitched from. Consequently, I have 7 or 8 inches of pretty good hitting space on the bat, and I'm hitting the ball through the middle. Now, again, I'll go back to the close position again. You can see this disadvantage because I have to hit the ball 1.5 feet further in front of the plate than I did when I'm standing in the rear of the box or away from the plate. Also, I'm hitting the ball at a 45-degree angle from the pitch, and my hitting area narrows down as that angle increases. Consequently, it's a more critical swing. It's a more critical way to hit, and it's a lot harder to hit that way. So the basic thing I'm trying to get across is, don't crowd the plate. Turn towards the pitcher with your front shoulder down and in. Step towards the pitcher so that your momentum and weight are going right back towards the pitcher, which helps you do one very important thing, to keep your head down so that you're looking at the pitch all the time. When you get close, you have a tendency, because you know you have to be quick, to open up. Your weight's going this way. Not only that, but you know you have to be quick, and you start throwing your head out. You start committing yourself too soon. Consequently, you're not waiting. You're going to be fooled more, and you won't be able to hit near as well.
These are the basic elements of good hitting. Most hitters make small adjustments from these points, little changes that they find help them to hit better. Ted made individual changes too, but whenever he found himself in a batting slump, he went back to the beginning again and followed these basic rules. Use the right bat for you, one that you can handle comfortably. Use a firm grip, but not so tight as to lock your wrists. Remember the V when you pick up a bat. Only hit at good balls, ones in your strike zone. Work at being quick with your hands and wrists, because the quicker you become, the longer you can wait to judge the pitch and the less you'll be fooled. Eliminate or minimize any lost motion so that you gain more time. Use a short, quick stride because it is faster, your head moves less, and you can see the pitch better. Be in balance at all times while in the batter's box. Stand back away from the plate so that you can cover it more easily and hit with more authority. These are the most important points to help you to develop into a better hitter. Many good hitters hold the bat a little differently than Ted does. Some stand in the box differently or stride differently, but they all have one thing in common. They're all quick with their hands and wrists. Remember, the more you practice, the quicker you become, and the longer you can wait and look at the pitch. And in simple language, that means more hits for you.